Welcome. Thanks for coming. We have a lot of data, and we have 40 minutes to get it to all of you, so we are going to jump right in.
Go quick.
So, who are we? So, hi, my name is Neil Weiler. That's the name my mom gave me, but everybody in the information security and hacker community knows me as Grifter. By day, I'm the VP of Defensive Services for Coalfire, and by night, I do this. This is my 22nd year doing the Black Hat NOC. I think 16 years with Bart. Other things I do, say again? You're sorry? I'm sorry too, but not for the friendships we've made along the way. Yeah, other things I do, department head, I run contests and events at DEF CON, so once we shut this down, we'll run over there and do that. And I speak at conferences all over the world, wrote a few books. Basically, that means that I just really, really, really like security. I'm super glad that we get to do this for a living, because my kids like food and electricity.
Hey, hey. So he says a lot of things for just being the pretty face. My name is Bart Stump. It's what my mom named me, and that's what everybody calls me. Not special. I've been doing this, to his point, about 16 years now. Did DEF CON with him for about 11 years, got my gold badge, and I'm done, so I can enjoy it now at this point. Been around for a little bit here. Nothing too special, not as cool as him, but we're here.
This is your full-time job?
No, I am a managing principal now at Coalfire. So we get to build some cool stuff at another place as well here. So we'll talk to you guys.
It's so much fun. We just wanted to be together all the time. All right, but we don't do this alone. This isn't just the Bart and Grifter show. We do this with a massive team. This is the team for this year. So I don't know why they have us go down in front of the Black Hat logo. You can't see it. This is what it looks like in the NOC if you didn't make it in there. It's very active. Everybody but Lewis, but he just ran away right there. Good job, Lewis. But that's what it looks like. We're in there. People are coming in, coming out. We're all, poking at things. There's shiny monitors. We have old hacker movies playing. We've got music going. Honestly, it's a good time. And as someone named Grifter, I was once told that the greatest grift I ever did was convince people that working in a SOC was fun. So.
And then on top of just what we have in there helping us out with TAs, our technical associates, which again are just a bunch of friends, we have these partners that come in and provide people equipment, help, expertise, and just friendship as well along the way. So if you heard, these are all partners. They're not sponsors. They don't pay to come into the NOC. We work with them and make sure that it's what fits the needs that we have in the NOC. Myself, Grifter, and Steve Fink, our principal architect, there you are, help design and make sure that we have what we need as we go through each and every show. Oh, slow. These are the partner leads for each of those partners. They help us immensely. They're the ones that are on calls with us every week, making sure that we have what we need from their side. They're the ones that go back up their side and convince their organizations that this is worth their while, and they're the ones that come sit here and spend time and kind of run their teams, if you will, for their organizations while they're here. So we genuinely appreciate these guys and everything that they do.
Yeah, and we've said this before, but I'll say it again. Like, you cannot pay to come into the NOC. Like, we decide what technologies go in there based on our own review. In that case, we act like customers. We go down to the expo floor and we get demos of products. We have people hit us up after the show, and we sit on Zoom meetings, get run through, and all the things that their devices or software can do. And we choose what we think is the best fit for what our need is, and then we deploy it. The way that we're spoiled is that because we're Black Hat, we get to say, like, hey, can we use this? And we'll put your name on a slide, and they go, yes. So unlimited budget. But yeah, and then Dustin's picture there is me asleep on the couch next to him. But that's nice. Thanks, Dustin. I appreciate that, brother.
All right. Now let's see all the cameras come out. So this is the architecture. We'll run through this just real fast, kind of give you a high-level overview. Come back and see it, too, in the videos and stuff. We're growing a little bit. So some typical stuff. You saw who the partners are. Palo provides firewalls, mainly on the WAN side, and then we have spares for that, as well as Panorama to manage that and have some of the logging. NetWitness provides a whole bunch of hardware to capture every single packet that we have traverse the network, as well as some of the logs. As you can see, 2 power vaults with 12 by 16 and 3 by 4 SSDs and then 9 by 16 terabytes. What was the total storage, Ollie? Total. A lot. I don't know where all he is. We're good. Cisco, we have Umbrella from them. Oh, you're right there. How much?
You are dull.
Oh, you're adding. We're good. I can add too. I don't remember. There's tons of storage there. We capture tons of packets. We'll get into that later about how much. 2 Umbrella virtual appliances from Cisco. The XDR integration that we use across multiple solutions there, as well as the MDM that we have on all the iPads, session scanners, etc. Malware analytics. This is our sandbox that we detonate anything that we see traverse the network to see if it's legitimately malware or anything else. And then Thousand Eyes agents. We'll dig into that here a little bit later. You'll hear some more about that. Arista provides switching and wireless. You can see the lists that they bring here, tons. We have different APs, different switches that we use in different areas. There's a lot, and we appreciate all that. It takes quite a while to deploy that, obviously the amount of equipment that they bring. And then lastly, CoreLight has a couple of sensors. Their software sensor traversing for all the VMs, and then the storage that they capture all of that on as well. With that said, let's flow just real fast through our architecture. North to south, we have 2 10-gig circuits from Lumen. We have a switch that we use from Arista at that point to break out those 2 circuits across the HA firewalls. Those go down into the tap from Arista that feeds all of our other tools so we can see those packets and all those other fun goodies on all the visibility tools that we have. Goes down into the core, which separates out into all kinds of different things. The one thing that I will point out here that is unique to this show that we have done, and I'm curious if anybody noticed any differences, we are not using the hardware in the show floor. So if you've seen us in the expo go deliver access points before on tripods like you see in here, that's unique because it is very hard to make that good between all of the build outs and the metal structures that are there, as well as just a giant show floor. Trying to get enough APs up on tripods to make it usable for everyone has been difficult. So what we've actually done is worked with Mandalay Bay, and we're actually using their equipment in the show floor, basically just a flat VLAN on those access points and traversing all that network back to us. So we still have visibility, but hopefully you guys had a better experience on the show floor due to that and the deployment of those. However, again, Arista deploys APs across the rest of the venue there.
Yeah, so this is a pretty heavy lift, right? It's a lot of stuff to do. We stand up an enterprise class network in what is essentially 3 days, right? So our principal architect, Steve Fink, who's sitting over here in the front, showed up, when did you show up? Sunday? He showed up Sunday of last week to come in and start deploying switches into the closets with the partners. Bart and I showed up later, fashionably late, and once the work was done. And no, that's not true. We worked. I thought that would be funny, but it's actually not funny to me. But yes, but we do a lot of staging and prep beforehand, right? So we have months and months of getting this stuff ready. The partners and us working together to get configurations on the devices and ready to roll so that when they come out of the boxes, we plug them in and they go. So it is a lot. We get that. But that's how we do it. That's how we're able to deploy. We started deploying things Monday morning, and we were in production on Thursday.
All right, this is a quick integration list just to kind of show the depth that we've gotten to here with these partners working together and some of the stuff that we have. I won't walk through this because obviously it's kind of hard to do so, but what I will say, and we get into this a little bit more in the future, we have turned a page, I feel like, in the operations of what we have here between the integrations that we have between the partners, the automation of that, the ability to hunt through all of that data and provide context across all of these platforms is getting very close to where we want it. And we'll have, like I said, some more coming up on that. So.
Also, if you didn't know, we'll tell you now, and then we'll tear the stream down shortly. But we stream the NOC live on Twitch the entire time that we're here, and also at the international shows as well. And then people can stare at us and be like, I saw you pick your nose, and we're like, I did it for you. But yeah, you can go in and watch us and interact with us in the chat. We'll answer questions for you. And yeah, generally, you can just sit in there and make fun of us. But we figure it's a thing. So all this stuff, there's plenty of dashboards, lots of technologies. The one that you're seeing going pew, 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 pew is OIP. A lot of people ask us questions about that. It's an open source project that just tells us about the most active hosts on the network. The red traffic is UDP, green is TCP, and ICMP is white. So if we see a scan or something, it looks like fireworks, right? The white traffic is just zoom, 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 out it goes. And then also it gets thicker as that traffic gets heavier, right? So we'll be like, what's happening there? Why is there suddenly this giant amount of traffic being passed between these hosts? And we can turn to either CoreLight or NetWitness and say, will you take a look at those IPs and see what they're doing, right? Just to make sure everything is cool. The dashboards are useful. They give us stuff like, oh, how much SSL traffic? What are the different protocols? All those things. So this is like where we started, open source things and then big colorful squares. And this is kind of how it's going, right? We're getting into things that are actually more useful. Like we're getting useful data out of our dashboards. Everything that you see on the screens up there is stuff that's relevant to us. We put them up on the screens outside for you as well, so you can come up, look at it, and say, oh, what kind of threats are they seeing? How often are they being attacked? Where is that data flowing? Where are folks connecting to all over the world from Black Hat? It's just interesting. The NOC is necessary to make the network stable and secure, but it is also an educational exhibit, essentially, to be like, this is what it looks like when you put 20,000 security professionals on a network together, and here's how they behave. The answer to that is poorly. But also, we have very, very shiny ones. I like this one. It makes me feel like
So we've talked about this in the past, but Grifter and I didn't used to be the dashboard guy. It was kind of funny, right? Yeah. Now the ones that are running in and out of the room and have to see if something's exploding, we've come a long ways, and I feel like there's some good things here. So we talked a little bit about XIM, using that with Palo Alto, integrating a lot of the context sources that we have, as well as automation into that tool. It's coming a long way, and we're going to let Pope here talk about it in a minute. But as you can see here on this dashboard on the left, you see all of the context that we're getting. So we have some of the endpoints, again, that we talked about from registration that we monitor, the NGFW stuff from Palo Alto, and then you can kind of read all that comes into their strata. We get information from CoreLight and Arista switches, and that all feeds in, and it turns into, as you can see there on the left, 14,000 alerts turned into 17 incidents. Incidents is a strong word in my opinion, but actionable alerts, something to look at and something for us to take care of. As you can see kind of on the bottom right, it spits out what was automated and manual. I'll show you that here in a second a little bit deeper, but then you can see the criticality of each of those alerts.
Yeah, I think it's important to point out, too, that that's why it doesn't work to just alert on a network like Black Hat's, right? If we had to respond to 14,000 alerts in 4 days or 5, 6, whatever it is, I don't know. They all blend together at this point. I haven't slept a lot. But if we were trying to go in and actually respond to each one of these alerts and each one of these incidents manually, like it would smother us, right? And so the way that we're able to accomplish what we're accomplishing in there is that all of the people that you saw blocking out the Black Hat logo in that team photo are in there doing threat hunting, right? They're actually going in, looking for outliers, and then chasing down what might actually be bad. You've heard me say it before from the stage if you've been here before. If on your network you're looking for a needle in a haystack, on this network we're looking for a needle in a needle stack. It's a lot of malicious traffic, but a lot of that malicious traffic is benign. And I will say also something that we have started to call out is that people say things like bring a burner laptop, bring a burner phone, bring burner. It's not really that way anymore, especially the way that we've got it architected and with all of these incredibly talented and highly technical people who are in there looking through this data. If you come on this network and you're compromised, we'll usually let you know, right? And we'll talk about that more in a little bit.
This is just quick. I'll explain real fast. You can see automated and then manual, and then what we see in the middle, we are actually creating, there's other playbooks that we're using and will be automated in the future that you can kind of see there. So again, this is going to grow and hopefully give us a much more efficient operation going forward.
Cool. We'll start getting into some of the stats. So this is our historical DNS queries in the numbers of millions over the years. This year, it actually dropped slightly, and we think that's likely due to encrypted DNS. We're digging into that. We'll get back to you. If you have any questions, email bart@blackhat.com. So
I've been signing him up for stuff for years. It's okay.
Top categories. I know where you live. So Google search, right? Chat is Slack. We've got our crypto mining, dating, Tinder. Last year it was Grindr. It's gone back to Tinder. We'll see what happens, a year from now. And then
you guys are weird.
I should be surprised by this. I'm really not. The #1 porn site for you guys, and there's so much adult traffic. Seriously, wash your hands. Is footfetishtube.com. So no free toes.
Terrible.
Okay.
Encrypted versus unencrypted. This is something always fun to see. There are a lot of unencrypted traffic that we see. A lot of times that is intended training classes, different things like that. But the amount of IMAP and unencrypted telnet and everything else out there is just wild at this point. So at this point, it's about a 75-25 split, and then you can see the difference.
It's a little down.
It is down a little bit. We actually talked about that in Singapore as well. They were usually like a 90 to 95% traffic was encrypted, and it was down to like 80% this year. So
really weird to see it moving
down.
Like
there's an
this
upward
year,
trend for a long time.
In the last year, we're seeing the amount of encrypted traffic going down, which doesn't trend with what everybody tells you, and yet we see it.
The fact that we see TLS 1.0 even still on the list is terrifying. Real quick, again, we're going to fly through some of these. We got a lot to go through, and then some other stories to talk about. General Wi-Fi, we had about, what did we see, Jonathan? Wasn't it a lot more than we see unique clients there? That's now. I wanted to say it was like 12 million, right? Ish, somewhere, maybe. I don't see Jonathan either. Okay. Top client was almost 800 gigs, downloading all the tools and the fun stuff. Hopefully that's what it was.
4 million unique Macs.
4 million, sorry, not 12. Yeah, randomized Macs are going to obviously add to that and cause that to be inflated a little bit. The 3 gigs of peak traffic is not amazing.
It's shameful, honestly. Let's just say it. It's shameful. We have two
20-gig circuits, and the majority of this was still adult traffic. So y'all should start looking at some really cool stuff and not that, and use some of that bandwidth. We got plenty. So those are stats. Again, really cool to track and kind of see that and see the dips usually in lunch that you see. Very, very good to have these.
Yeah, I will point out too, because it was this dashboard that I was staring at on Saturday morning. So Saturday morning is when the first training class starts. And this shows setup and go live went really, really smoothly, like incredibly smooth. So much so that it confused us. Everything just worked. And we were like, all right, I think we're good. We rolled over to production a day early. We were able to hand over the network to registration. They could start registering people early. And then when things kicked off on Saturday, we have a bat phone in there that people can call in, the trainers and say, or some people from the show, and say, hey, there's a problem with the network over here or over there. And it just didn't ring. And I was like, watching this thing, watching the number of clients go up, everybody's getting connected and stuff, and I'm looking at the phone, and I'm looking at the phone, and then I was like, the phone's broken, right? So I was like, oh, let me call it, and I called it, and it rang, and I was like, huh, only took 22 years.
Ask him how long he was staring at that 129 number and what that did to his OCD.
Oh, because it was at 128, and I loved it. Like, I was like, oh, it's at 128. And then the number of clients for a really long, it was at 2048. And I was like, look at those beautiful numbers. And then they were like, we deployed another AP because we had some latency over here. And I was like, I hate you. But, yeah, anyway. We talk about the amount of malicious traffic that's out here and the types of traffic that we're seeing going around the network. For some context around that, we had you visited, all of you visited 1.1 million different URLs throughout the course of the last 6 days, and 14,939 of them are known malicious. So they're not Pokemon, guys. But you might have got them all. You might have. So again, there's just interesting stuff for us. Another wild statistic there, looking at 900 million, nearly 900 million logs. That's insane. So again, as we've gone, we like the shiny more. I don't know what that says about our technical abilities, but we just really like shiny dashboards now. So soon we'll be put out to pasture. 2.65 million threats alerted on, but we only blocked 241. And remember, we said that, right? This is often described as one of the most hostile networks in the world, and that is true if you take it at face value, the types of traffic that's being transferred. We have to let most of that traffic go. Unless we see a direct attack on our infrastructure or one of you, we don't block anything. So with 2.65 million threats, 241 blocked. So let it fly.
They do. All right, so this is threat intel, super unique and what we like to see. So we had 603 different hits, but if you look at that bottom one, we had 101 new hits. We talk about the new stuff that we see here all the time. That's pretty cool to see a sixth of those be new hits that you guys bring. The type of traffic is certainly unique. And then top networks by number of IDS alerts. As you can see, general Wi-Fi is going hard and strong, but the GCP Cloud Red Team training course did a pretty good job while they were in session. So, unique applications here. So social applications on the right, pretty standard what you can see. The cool stuff with the AI applications, if you look at the generative AI, and that top one being Notion AI, is that note-taking tool that you can basically just listen. We assume a lot of that was either in trainings or briefings and that kind of stuff. You set out your phone, listen to that briefing, be able to take notes and kind of go back through that. Some unique stuff there, but the AI things will be certainly interesting to watch going forward and see what's kind of growing from there. This one feels like it's a little bit less of a buzzword right now. I mean, it's been around forever, but everybody's talking about AI, but there is a lot of it out there right now. So we'll see how it goes and kind of how that trends going forward.
Look at Facebook coming in as a top social app, you bunch of boomers.
I wish MySpace would show up again.
Hey, Sonny, I'm over here to the Black Hats on the network. I'll take some pictures for you. You can show your mom.
Speed. I'm going to speed through this, so I'm sorry that you're here in person. If English is your second language, I'm super, super sorry. But we're going to talk about the evolution of this network, how it started, and where we're going. When we started this, there were 1,500 attendees. There were 15 training classes. This year, 20,000 plus attendees, 90 plus training classes. But the network was always down in the early days of Black Hat, always, always down. It was just there, like, kind of, if it maybe worked. When we came in, we took it over, got it stable. That was our #1 goal. That's why we call it a NOC. We replace all the routers, switches, firewalls, and access points because we control them. It allows us to make sure that we can provide that kind of stability, but also mitigate attacks. Security came second. How dare we? Believe me, we built it with security in mind. But still, then it was like, okay, how do we keep these people from attacking each other? And attack each other you did, right? So we started having to separate you into little boxes because the red team class would attack the blue team class because they were like, ha 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 ha, see if you can see this. And so once we did that and everybody was in their own little silo and everybody was, host isolated and all whatever, great. We were like, let's see if this actually is the most hostile network in the world. And we started doing threat hunting. Once we're out there hunting, we're finding interesting things. We want to see what it's about, so we throw it in a malware sandbox and see what that is. And that's great. So we went with that. Then identity and access management came along. We had a hiccup with a partner many moons ago, long in the past, but it told us, like, hey, we need to make sure that we control the changes that are done on the networks. We have to put this in place. We've had a little bit of a hard time with that in the last couple shows, and we're looking at improving things. I'll tell you what happens when you don't do it right shortly. And then endpoint. Obviously, you're not installing anything that we give you, and you shouldn't, or anybody else for that matter. Don't run up and be like, Grifter said put this on your laptop. I didn't. But we do monitor the endpoints that are the mobile devices that are out there. We're doing mobile device management. Any of the laptops that are at registration, all of that stuff, we are looking at the endpoint telemetry on those. And then automation became a thing as well. We were like, oh, it's hard for us to go to every classroom and tell somebody when they're compromised. It's hard for us to tell them when they're passing clear text credentials. Maybe we can automate this. And we started throwing up captive portals to tell you all how, hey, we noticed some communication to a known command and control server. If this is expected behavior, please disregard this message. If not, you come to the NOC for more information. And you could come and we'd show you the packet captures and the logs and give you everything that you wanted to. It's one of the reasons that we say, like, okay, you can be actually safer coming here because we're going to let you know if you're compromised. We'll know immediately. So in our opinion, probably more people leave here, more people leave secure than they do compromised. Again, all the hype is whatever it is, but we try really, really hard to find the things that your SOC doesn't, right? Again, unlimited budget. So there's more around that too, and we're going to get into that.
Do your survey
right.
first.
What's that?
Do your survey.
Do my survey?
Yeah.
You say it, because I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't.
So, to his point with the captive portals, we've actually been having some issues with the captive, but you didn't even know what I was talking about. So the captive portals, we've been having some issues between iOS and other things. We actually asked this earlier a few years ago, and that's kind of how we got to this point. But by a raise of hands, how many of you would be willing, when you logged onto the network, to put an email address in so that if we saw anything on your host, that we could email you and reach out with that information as opposed to having to try to present a captive portal. Would you guys be, you would have to opt in. It's optional, you don't have to do it. But is that something that you guys would be willing to do and put in your email address if we saw any compromise on that device?
By a raise of hands. Remember that we already have it because it's in the registration system.
Yeah, we have it. It's just if you want to know about it. We'll talk about it either way.
Okay, it's enough. Yeah. What's that? You want all the data about what you visited? No. We don't want to see it. You don't want to see it.
That was not as many as I thought it might be.
Okay, so
Let's talk about it.
So we have more to talk about on automation and more of the things that we're doing to try to innovate. And to do that, though, we have to bring up two of our TA leads, both Mike Spicer and James Pope. So welcome them to the stage.
Howdy, I'm James Pope, and the Black Hat NOC had a problem. And the problem is more attendees coming to the conference, and more people that we're bringing in the NOC are generating more and more A, alerts, and B, interesting things that we want to threat hunt. So me trying to skim through that, we had it in Slack. Works great when you're a smaller conference with less people digging through it. Last year, USA, I couldn't keep up. We have too many amazing partners putting in too much good information, and it's just turning into these massive threads, and not just threads, I can't even finish this one before there's 8 more that are popping off. We also found that something we would threat hunt on or find something interesting, we would then find it again and threat hunt on it again, and that's just a waste of time and effort. So we started a process after last USA show is how do we fix that? And we're rolling out pieces of that, A, B, and C, and part of that was I need somewhere to put this workflow in and have automated things. Through looking at what was available to us, we picked Palo Cortex XOR to do that. It had the most built-out features that we needed, and we started testing through that. So we used Europe was the next one after the US, then Asia, and we kept building pieces to get us to a better and better state. And so things that we've done is, first, I want to know is, if we have some attack, what do we know about it externally from a tip standpoint? So we pull in all of our external indicators. What do I know about it? If all of them say it's bad, I know it's bad. We don't need to go hunt on it. It's bad. Then the next phase was, what do we know about it internal from all of our internal tools? Let's start pulling in all the logs from these internal tools. And so we can go from a detection to the payload to answer that question as fast as we can if this is a false positive or not. Is it still a cool story in some scenarios? Yes. Should we continue hunting on it? Yes. From my standpoint to the NOC, is that an incident? It's in a classroom. All the students are doing it. Auto close that out. Black Hat positive, right? We're in a corporate environment. You're killing that in Black Hat. Let's let that fly. But we don't need to worry about them if they're, hitting our backbone or attacking an external system or something that we actually have to take action and do something on. So we built phases of that out. It's pretty good as of right this moment. We have a lot of ideas and additional things we want to continue to do and get this out, better automation, better mirroring with Slack, things where people can leverage the tools they're currently using and not have to go to specific portals to do things if they don't want to. Mm-hmm. And then start moving that through the next shows to get down to our availability automation. And so we have a bunch of ideas and things that we want to do to make that easier for trainers, easier for guests, and easier for us, frankly. So we don't need to run back to room to tell somebody if the AP is up or not. We can run commands with our own TAs right from Slack. We don't have to kick people out, do things, go with special people like Mike Spicer here, have to go and find you in an auditorium. We can have some proactive things that can give us good data on it. With that, that's a great segue to Mike Spicer.
You can go change your...
Do we have the slides? Dope. Hey, everybody. Mike Spicer, also known as Dark Matter. And I've been bringing crazy stuff to the Black Hat NOC for 10-ish years. Just showing up, and finally they're like, nope, you're getting a job. Like, you are fixing things and you're doing things. So last year, we had this kind of situation where Cisco brought Thousand Eyes in with some Raspberry Pis we had laying down, and are like, hey, we can give you network telemetry. I saw it and I was like, that is amazing. How do we make it bigger, better, badder? And I came up with the idea of precogs. So the whole goal is that we want to know whether there's a crime or whether there's bad things or whether even the Wi-Fi is down before even you know it. So we started out last year with kind of just a baseline. We improved it in London, and then in Singapore, we rolled it out even harder. And here, we had 25 sensors out in the network. We built some custom Orange Pis. You can see that on the board there. They're basically souped up Raspberry Pis. Had 25 of those out there connected as clients. We had some custom scripts running on the back end to give us some network telemetry as well. And I'm happy to report, as like our beta test, we were able to close 10 issues by looking at latency and bandwidth restrictions, and go make adjustments to AP, coordinate channel movements and things like that before we had someone come tell us we had a problem. So we're moving more and more to an automatic way to fix the environment, make it better for you, not just safer, but also a higher level of quality so you can use all that yummy bandwidth to go through. And again, we partnered with Thousand Eyes to be able to give us our uptime and telemetry. You may have saw this on our projector screen. We wanted everyone to look at this. As soon as we started seeing yellow, we're like, uh-oh, we're starting to slow down on some of our latency and some of our bandwidth throughput. As soon as it goes red, we send someone to the room. Or if we have a sensor in that room, we're already going to be running tests on the fly to validate and make sure that we have the right data or understand where the issue is. Because in some senses, it's not necessarily us, our infrastructure. Maybe it's the internet itself that's having problems. When you have a classroom of 60 people and have them all go to youtube.com and load this exact video, there might be an issue. It turns out we might be DDoSing other things. So anyway, super excited to see what we do in the future with this. I want to just keep growing and add more sensors and more visibility. So thank you.
Thanks, guys. Are amazing.
So those guys are a great example of if you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. So we just keep bringing smarter and smarter people into our room.
I feel so dumb.
Yeah, I know. It's fantastic. I always want to be the dumbest person in the room. So, but speaking of dumb people, so there are things that we see every year, every show, no matter what country we go to, and these are those things. Hey, just because you're using a VPN and the little green icon in the system tray is working does not mean that you're necessarily secure. Make sure that you've configured split tunneling correctly. Otherwise, I can see all your stuff. You know, LDAPing to the internet, why? Why are you doing that? What's that for? You know, we see applications vomiting different, you know, configurations about the laptop off onto the network because it thinks it's trying to talk to something else. It's not. Emails in the clear, it is 2024. Seriously, you have to try. You have to try to send an email insecure now. You have to uncheck things, go through whatever you have to do 37 captchas, but somehow you're still sending it out in the clear, right? Knock it off. Same thing goes for files. Basic auth, base 64, that should be fine, right? That's encrypted. No, it's not, no. Right, we're seeing amazing passwords, good job there. Really lengthy ones, lots of complexity to them, but you're sending them across the wire in the clear. Knock it off. And then again, porn, wash your hands. Wash your hands. We're doing a lot of shaking.
Both.
You know what? Is hugging better than shaking hands? No, probably not. Probably not. All right. The thing is, this is story time. We know we only have a few minutes to go, but we wanted to put a couple of these in. We have taken your feedback where you said we want more stats, more like what you're putting in the network, things you're learning. So we've tried to make it heavy on this. We'll look for your feedback. Tell us how you want us to do this again next year or at our shows in London and Singapore. But we always try to be transparent about where we have an oopsie. Now, you remember earlier I was talking about the identity and access management portion, right? We put that in place because we had an issue with some configuration changes, and we were like, yay, we learned something. But we've been having some struggles there, and then and so we're like, okay, we've got to find other solutions. And this time it came and it bit us. And here's what took place. So we had an individual with all the best intentions go in, make some changes to a configuration, and they were just like, I'm not going to commit this, though, because I'll do it at lunch just in case something goes wrong. It's going to be fine, blah, blah, blah. We talked about it. Yeah, we're going to leave it. Great. And then another individual came in behind them, made a very benign change, or what they believed was a benign change, wouldn't affect anything. Sure, why not? And then they hit commit. So what happened? Both changes got committed, right? So on Sunday morning for 8 minutes, all of the training network went down, right? And we were like, ah, so that phone, it started ringing. And it starts ringing, and we know what's happening. We know what's down. We can still see that we have connectivity to the internet on other parts of the network. It's just the training network. We start doing some troubleshooting, find out it's getting dropped to the firewall. What happened? Where are the changes? Here's where it is. Roll it back, and we're back up and running again. But that's why change management is important. That's why access control is important. We made some adjustments. We changed a few things, and we learn. Right? So if you were in a training class on Sunday and you noticed that, I did apologize to some trainers. Sorry about that outage earlier. And they said, I don't know what you mean. And I was like, I don't either. I've been drinking. So yeah, things went fine after that. But again, it happens. It happened to us. We've been doing this a long time, and we still make mistakes. So.
All right, a couple quick ones. So VPNs, trust but verify, right? Don't trust, always verify. To Jessica's point, who isn't here in Paris Olympics, she's amazing, helps run.
We love you, Jessica.
We love you.
Yeah.
I always say trust but verify. She gives me a scowl and she says never trust, always verify. This is a VPN. Again, green box, beautiful. Everything was encrypted, sort of. Your data was. However, this same VPN was sending out location data of that very person in clear text. So we saw longitude in a packet in clear text, went and looked it up, dug up a few things. Someone was running a VPN, and that VPN was reporting the physical location of that user near us in Mandalay Bay through the clear.
It's not a tracker, but it's a tracker.
Trust but verify, never trust, always verify.
Yeah. If you're not looking at your packets, you don't know what's inside them.
We are.
But we're looking at your packets, and we can see what's.
You should too.
Yeah.
Not that one. I don't know. I actually don't know off the top of my head. Who was it?
Do we? I'm getting a.
MGuard.
Oh, never mind. He said
Whoops.
it.
Fix it.
Sorry, that slipped. It slipped out. Sorry.
I didn't say it.
I know. Eventually, someone's going to call us out on that. But this one here, again, we've got people in there. They're hunting. They're looking at stuff. And they noticed a large amount of malicious traffic going towards a financial institution, a particular financial institution, and then, again, a second financial institution. And they're like, hey, this person is actively attacking a financial institution from their training class. This is not part of the class. This is like an attack. And I was like, wonderful, right? So this happened. I had to go to 5 different training classes over the course of the trainings and go in and say, hi, it's still illegal, and then people are like, boop, and they stop. In this case, I went into a class and I said, hey, somebody is doing this, you can't do that, it's illegal, and the guy in the seat called himself out and he said, oh, that's me, I'm doing a pen test. And I said, what? And he was like, I'm doing a pen test. And I was like, from the class? From an open wireless network? And he was like, yeah, I had to do it, so it's just me. I'm just doing that. And I was like, no, stop immediately, and no one should ever hire you. Like, could not believe it. Absolutely could not believe that. I was like, bro, like, I get that the class is expensive, but you don't have to try to figure out a way to pay for it while you're in it. And so that's what we have for you this year. Thank you all for coming out. We have, thank you again. Stop it.
Don't leave yet. Don't leave. We got like 90 seconds.
No,
There's
you can
usually
leave.
questions.
We're not in charge of you. You have autonomy. You can go if you want, but you can stay. We have a minute and a half. So you have a question? Anybody have a question?
There's mics, or you can yell and I can repeat.
Oh,
And-
all right.
Aw.
Oh, deviant.
The internet's deviant.
On the PQ map, there was a very fat red traffic between 2 nodes. Did you happen to remember what the hell that was? You shared everything else?
No. There are times like, so on the Pew Pew map, there was a very fat bit of red traffic that was on there. Do we know what that was? No, we don't often ask, really, if we'll just be like, verify that this isn't bad. Is this something okay? And it's like, yeah, it's benign. And it was DNS.
It's always DNS.
It's always DNS. But yeah, and then I will. We have 40 seconds. Do you want to talk about the HDs thing and what the? Yeah, we might go over by 30 seconds. Please don't assault us. All right, go ahead.
This is Ben's story a little bit, but H.D. Moore got up on stage and threw down a shambles. I don't know if anybody watched it. No giving away anything. It's worth watching. Super sharp person. Anyway, at Black Hat, he puts out this shambles attack vulnerability. And Ben here at Corelight, he was in there. He's like, I really want to go to that. He goes to it, gets out, and he's a nerd. And so he's like, I think we can make a detection for this. So, instead of being off shift, he goes and makes a detection for it. So makes a detection, then meets up with him and has a beer with him and explains it to him, and then implements it in the NOC the next morning, where we are now scanning for that exact thing less than 24 hours later.
Oh.
Thanks, H.D. Moore. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Ben. So,
thank all of you.
The NOC is so fresh. Mwah. All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.